know for once me putting off filming a video has actually really worked out in my favour because they just keep announcing more shows that I want to see. Hi everyone, my name's Chloe, welcome back to my channel. Thank you for being here today. Today's video is going to be a incomplete list of theatre shows that I am excited for over the next year. So I'm going to do a video like this about books as well. I'm going to talk about anticipated releases, but as I'm doing sort of a mixture of theatre and bookish content at the minute, I wanted to also talk about all of the new shows that are starting this year that I am very excited for, and there are a lot of them. And as I said, I've been meaning to film this video for like a couple of weeks now, and both times on days that I've actually said, right, I'm going to film it today, there's been an announcement on that day. So, you know, it's pretty good that I put it off for a bit. And also it goes to say that, like I said, this is an incomplete list. Things will carry on getting announced throughout the year. I will maybe do videos about particular announcements as and when they happen, maybe do a little catch up of this halfway through the year of like other things that have been announced. But for now, this is still an incomplete list because I think there's things that I've missed out, but it is a list of things that I'm excited for over the next year. I will say I'm gonna link a article from All That Dazzles down below because he has done a list of many more shows than the ones I'm talking about here. I also use the What's on Stage website to find out about a lot of these, but All That Dazzles has a good comprehensive list of like over 50 shows I think they're starting this year. So I'm gonna link that down below if you do want to check anything else out. Also, I should say that I know there are some things starting that I am not mentioning on here. Some of them are just ones that I honestly do not want to see, but this is a list of things that I am particularly excited for various reasons. I'm probably not going to give the best synopsis of a lot of them just because I don't know too much about a lot of them because I haven't seen them yet. I only know like vague ideas, but I'm going to try and do my best to give you kind of a brief overview of the shows and also kind of tell you a little bit about why I'm excited about them. But before we actually get into that, I should say as well that there are a couple of different things in here. So I have got a couple of musical adaptations into films that I wanted to mention as well. There's not that many sort of been announced to come out this year, but I did want to shout out the ones that have. It wasn't sort of enough to do its own video, so I thought I'd just throw it in here. On the day that this video is going up, we actually do have a release of a movie musical in the UK. I should say it's already out in America, but the Mean Girls musical comes out today in the UK. I will be going to see it at some point this week. I know there's been like mixed opinions on whether or not people are excited about it. I do know that like the choices for the orchestrations on the movie soundtrack are a lot more subdued than they are on the musical one, and I'm not sure how I feel about that, but I have seen people say it works better in context, so I am cautiously optimistic for it. But that does come out today in the UK. We do also have another movie musical coming out towards the end of the month that is also already out in the US because they're just getting everything ahead of us at the minute. But that is The Colour Purple movie, which is coming out on the 26th of January, and that is an adaptation of the stage show that is in itself an adaptation of the book and has also been a film at one point, but like a non-musical film. There's been lots of versions of The Colour Purple, and this is the movie adaptation. Came out, I believe, at Christmas in America, and we're finally getting it at the end of the month, and I'm very excited to see that one as well. So those ones were just really quick, but now let's actually get on to some shows that I'm excited to see in person. So the first one that I have, I've tried to do this in order. The first one that I have listed is Bronco Billy, which is opening at Charing Cross Theatre on the 24th of January, and it's running until the 7th of April. This is a musical, I believe, based on a Clint Eastwood film. It is a sort of cowboy Wild West musical. I don't know too much else about it other than that, but I did get to see a song performed at MusicalCon last year, and I was very impressed by it. The cast sounds great. It's led by Emily Benjamin. I believe that Taran Callender's in there as well. Off the top of my head, I can't remember anyone else, but I do like both of those as performers, so I'm looking forward to seeing this one. I also do quite like the Charing Cross Theatre, so I'm excited to get back there. It's a good place to see sort of newer stuff, so I always like to keep an eye out on what is coming up there. Speaking of newer musicals, we do have MT Fest happening again this year as well. There are 8 new shows, I believe, being showcased over 2 weeks, so essentially MT Fest is a way to kind of test out new material. They'll be in kind of various states of sort of how far they are in their progress to being sort of a fully complete show, but it's a way for them to sort of get word out about their shows, a way for them to sort of see how it works with audiences. I haven't actually had a chance to go to MT Fest yet. I've seen sort of like individual songs from things. There was a performance at West End Live once that was some of the shows that have been at MT Fest before, but I really want to try and see more new stuff this year. So I'm really looking forward to this one. It's going to be at 2 different venues. So it's going to be at the Other Palace, the studio, and the Other Palace, so the smaller part of that theatre, and then also at the Turbine Theatre. And there are a couple of these shows that I have my eye on, but I'm not going to go through all 8 right now. But I do recommend that you look it up. It's a really good way to see sort of new things that are hopefully going to have longer runs in the future. Then we're really switching gears because we're going to go to a play. This one I actually already have a ticket booked for, and this is An Enemy of the People, which is going to be on at the Duke of York's Theatre from the 6th of February to the 6th of April. This is a Ibsen play that I know very little about, but I know that the cast has got Matt Smith in it, and that intrigued me. I know that my housemate wanted to see an Ibsen play, and we decided to book tickets. And like I said, I know very little about it, but I am also trying to see more plays this year. So this is one that is on my radar because I already have a ticket booked. I promise some of these I will actually be able to say a little bit more about. This one I honestly don't know too much about it, but I already have a ticket, so we'll see how that goes. Then also in February we have Before After, which is opening at the Southwark Playhouse Borough. This is a new musical which I believe is sort of a love story about two people meet. One of them remembers the other and one of them doesn't, and it's sort of about their love story. The cast is Grace Mowat and Jacob Fowler, which is part of what makes me really excited for this one. Again, Southwark Playhouse is a good place to see sort of newer things, so I'm excited to go and see another new one. I do need to book tickets for this one though. The next couple I have are things that I have actually seen before, but they are sort of new productions or transfers of them. So we've got Standing at the Sky's Edge at the Gillian Lynn Theatre, and that opens on the 8th of February. This is a transfer of the musical that won Best New Musical at the Olympics last year. Started off in Sheffield at the Crucible, it then came down to the National Theatre. It's now getting a West End run. I have talked about this one on my channel before. I did really enjoy it when I saw it last year, and I am looking forward to seeing it again. I only got a chance to see it once, and I think it is one that I would like to see again, now that I sort of know what I'm expecting going in. But like I said, I'm not going to go into this one too much because I have definitely spoken about it before. And we'll move on to the next one that I have also definitely spoken about before on this channel, and that is Hadestown. It's opening at the Lyric Theatre on the 10th of February. I will be there on opening night. This is a musical that I saw on Broadway last year. It is a Greek mythology retelling. It's the Orpheus and Eurydice myth, but also Hades and Persephone. And we've got Hermes telling the story throughout the way. It is a tragic love story, and the music in this is incredible. I love this show so much. I did not expect to love it as much as I did when I went to see it, and I'm really excited to get a chance to see it again multiple times. Then we've got another new musical, but it is based on familiar territory, and this is the Clueless musical that is opening at the Churchill Theatre in Bromley on the 12th of February, and it is running till the 24th of February, so a short run. This is still very much a musical that is being worked on. It is not sort of like a finished project. It is designed to kind of get it in front of audiences and test it out, and they'll make changes along the run. This is a new musical based on the movie Clueless. There has been a Clueless musical before, but that was a jukebox musical. This is one with all new music in it. I am really excited because Clueless is one of my favourite films. It's like a teen rom-com from the early 90s that is based on a Jane Austen book. It's based on Emma. I feel like enough of you should know what Clueless is already, so I'm not going to go into a full synopsis, but I'm really excited to see what they do with this. I am slightly worried I'm going to hate it, but I am also excited to see it. So again, I hopefully will be going to see this one in February. And then the last one that I have, again, very much changing pace. This is a play that is actually coming back to the West End. It's done a run before and I just sadly didn't get a chance to see it. But it is For Black Boys Who Have Considered Suicide When the Hue Gets Too Heavy. Again, I don't know too much about this one, but I'd heard nothing but good things. And I did very much want to see it when it was on before, but it was before I was living in London and I didn't get a chance to come down and see it. But it will be running from the 29th of February to the 4th of May at the Garrick Theatre, so hopefully I will get a chance to see this one this year. Then moving on to things that are opening in March, we're going to change things a little bit because I'm well aware that most things I've said are in London and not everyone can get to London. I have tried to include a couple of tours on here that I'm very excited about. The first one being the Come From Away tour. So Come From Away closed on the West End last year. I love Come From Away, it's so good. It tells the story of a community that basically took in a load of stranded planes when the World Trade Center attack happened on September 11th. And they basically, all the planes got grounded there and the community kind of came together and helped house all these people who had been stranded. And it sounds like a really weird concept for a musical, but it works so well. I love it so much. Do take tissues if you go and see it though, because this one without a doubt makes me cry every time I see it. And I'm excited to get to see it again. It is touring. It's starting on the 1st of March at Leicester, and then it'll be touring throughout the country. It's got tour dates up until early next year, I believe. It's coming to London again for a little bit, so I will be going to see it when it's down here, but it is touring various places. So I very much suggest looking up when it is near you. Then we have another one that is back down in London. This one opens on the 6th of March and it runs until the 27th of July, and it is opening night, which is going to be at the Gielgud Theatre. So this is a musical based on a film that I'd never actually heard of before, but I believe it is about sort of the opening night of a show, so it's sort of a musical about putting on a show, and it's got a lot of like big names attached to this. So we've got Sheridan Smith playing the main character. The rest of the cast also has some good people in it. The person I'm particularly excited about is Hadley Fraser, but the creative team is also very big names in this. So the music is being written by Rufus Wainwright and it's being directed by Ivo Van Hove. It sounds like something that I need to see, basically. Again, I don't know too much about it because I've never heard of the film before, but like that creative team, it sounds very impressive and I will be going to see this at some point. Then moving on to things that are starting in April, the first one being one of the ones actually that, like I said, got announced as I was like getting ready to film this the other day, and then as it happened I didn't end up having time to film it anyway. But I'm glad that I can include it in this video because I was so disappointed when I didn't get to see this at its run that has recently finished. So it is Two Strangers Carry a Cake Across New York. It is opening at the Criterion Theatre on the 4th of April and it's running till the 14th of July. This is a new musical about two strangers that basically they are going to a wedding, and I believe that they have to sort of get the cake to the wedding. And again, I know nothing else about it other than that I have heard spectacular things about this, and I wanted to get tickets. I'd thought about getting tickets and there was still plenty left, and then all of a sudden the next time I looked it had completely sold out, and I'm like, okay, guess I'm not seeing that. So I'm really glad that it's transferring to the West End. Also, I have this like weird thing in my head where I want to try and go to like every big London theatre, and I haven't been to the Criterion yet, so I'm glad that I'm going to be able to cross this off my list. But yeah, very, very happy that this one is transferring and can't wait to actually get to see what all the hype is about. Then one that I actually don't know if I will be able to go and see, but I would very much like to go and see it, so I'm just going to kind of put it in this video and put it out into the universe. Hopefully it'll transfer to a venue that is easier for me to get to at some point soon, and that is 42 Balloons, which is going to be at the Lowry in Salford from the 18th of April to the 19th of May. This had, I think, some like one-off performances last year or the year before in London, and I heard really, really good things about it. As far as I know, it is literally about someone who wants to use a load of balloons to sort of fly. I know very little else about it. It sounds like a really weird concept for a musical, but I have heard such good things about this that I need to see it at some point. I feel like the fact that it had these sort of like one-off shows that were kind of like more development things, and now it's having them run at the Lowry, that bodes well that it's going to sort of come back and have a bigger run somewhere down in London at some point. So fingers crossed I do get to see it eventually. Maybe I will make the trip up to Salford to go and see it, possibly not, but we will see. And then the next one on this list starts on the 30th of April and it runs to the 24th of August, and that is Spirited Away, which is going to be at the London Coliseum, another venue I haven't actually been to yet. This is based on the Studio Ghibli film, and again, I don't know too much about this particular stage version. It is the European premiere of it, I believe. I believe it's going to be performed in Japanese with English subtitles, but although I didn't get to see My Neighbor Totoro myself, having seen what they've been able to do with these types of films on the stage and seen how well they've been received, I'm very excited to see what this one looks like. Then we are moving on to June because I actually don't have anything listed starting in May. Again, I very much may have forgotten something, but there was nothing that I had on my list. I wrote this list like 2 weeks ago and then I tried to add the things that had been announced and I might have missed something. But on my list, the next thing we have is in June, and actually this is the one that just got announced this morning before I filmed this, and it is Kiss Me Kate, which is going to be opening at the Barbican Theatre. This is obviously a revival. It's an older musical that has been done before. The thing that's particularly excites me about this one is the cast. So we've got Adrian Dunbar, who I'm like less excited about, but then we have Stephanie J. Block, who I did not get to go and see when she did her concert here last year. So I'm very excited to see her on stage in something. I love her. I have watched the Falsettos Pro Shot way too many times, and I'm very excited to get the chance to go and see this one. Like I said, it's opening at the Barbican on the 4th of June and it's running until the 14th of September. Tickets, I believe, go on sale later on this week. Then we have a show that I've actually already mentioned in one capacity, but the actual musical is opening on the West End this year, and that is Mean Girls, which is going to be at the Savoy from the 5th of June. Again, like I said, I've already mentioned the movie musical earlier, but it's based on the 2004 film. I feel like everyone knows what Mean Girls is. I'm excited to see it on stage. My sister's actually already seen it. She saw it on Broadway and she really enjoyed it. And like, I go through phases with Mean Girls as to like listening to the music and then just forgetting it exists, but I am excited to finally get the chance to see it on stage because we've had so many rumours of West End transfers and then it's never happened, but it finally is this year. Then we have got the new production of Starlight Express, which is happening at the Troubadour Theatre, Wembley Park, and it is starting on the 8th of June. So this is the Andrew Lloyd Webber musical about trains. They perform on roller skates. That is about all I know of it. To be honest, from what I've heard, there is not one sort of definitive version of Starlight Express. I believe that songs have changed throughout the years, like references and jokes of things have changed throughout the years, so who knows what this version is going to be like. I am excited to see what they do with the staging, because that theatre has a lot of potential to be able to do so much with that space. They already utilised it quite well in Newsits, and I feel like it's just going to go next level with this one. Hopefully I will get to see it at some point. I haven't booked tickets yet, and tickets are quite expensive, but I am hoping that I will be able to see it at some point during its run. Then we have one that I will be seeing during its run, but also I need to explain, because this has multiple runs happening throughout the year, and then we'll hopefully have another run announced, I believe, for next year. So this is the Burlesque musical, which is also based on a film. I know some people have issues with sort of everything sort of being based on something these days. Like, I don't, as long as it's done well, I don't mind. And I think Burlesque is one that should work very, very well on stage. I mean, it's already got music in it anyway. And I'm really excited to see what they've done with it on stage. And I do have tickets for the initial Manchester Opera House run. So basically what we're doing with this one is we have a Manchester Opera House run from the 13th of June to the 29th of June. I believe that as, if not completely, it is very much almost sold out. It's then going to do another run in Glasgow from the 11th to the 28th of September, before coming back to Manchester Opera House from the 3rd of October to the 2nd of November. And all of these runs, I believe, are to kind of develop the musical before a West End transfer next year. I'm assuming next year. I'm assuming they're not going to try and fit it in right at the end of this year. But West End transfer is very much what they've said they are aiming for. So I am so excited to see this one. Is based on the film with Christina Aguilera and Cher in it, about people who work at a burlesque club. And like, that film I really loved when it first came out, and then watched it again for the first time in a few years in the last, like, in a couple of months ago, and was like, oh yeah, no, this is very exciting. I'm so glad I have tickets for it. And then the last one that I have in June is another one that I'm very excited to have tickets for, because I saw this last year and it was my favourite show that I saw last year, and it is transferring to the West End this year after a run at the Donmar Warehouse last year. I've said this year and last year so many times within that, but it is Next to Normal, which is going to be running at the Wyndham's Theatre from the 18th of June to the 21st of September. Again, I spoke about this so much on my channel. If you want to know my full thoughts about it, go and watch my favourite theatre video from last year. I just spoiled it for you that it was my favourite thing I saw, but it's so good. I'm so excited. I have multiple tickets booked for this run already. I will be booking more. I'm gonna say it out loud here. Jem, let me know when you are free. We will go and see it. But I'm so excited to get to see Next to Normal again. Then moving on to July, we are starting off with the long-awaited run of Hello Dolly at the Palladium. This is going to be running from the 6th of July up until the 14th of September. Say long-awaited because basically the Broadway had a version of Hello Dolly a few years ago with Bette Midler in it, and around about the time that was on, it was sort of announced that it was coming to the West End with Imelda Staunton, and then a pandemic happened, and then obviously Imelda Staunton's busy, so trying to find a space that you can fit it into like her filming schedule and things, it's just taken time, and it is finally happening this summer, and I'm really excited to see it. I saw Imelda Staunton on stage before when she was in Sweeney Todd, and she was very good, and I've never actually seen Hello Dolly. I don't think I've watched the film, which feels wrong to me as a Barbra Streisand fan, so maybe I'll have to rectify that, but I am excited to see this one. I know my mum really wants to see it as well, so I'm probably going to be going with her. Then we have one where, again, I'm trying to see more new stuff this year, and this one, I feel like when I first heard about it, I was like, oh, I don't know if that sounds like something I'll enjoy, and then the more I hear about it, the more I'm like, actually, I feel like it is exactly the thing I will enjoy, and that is a musical called Fangirls, which is opening at the Lyric Hammersmith from the 13th of July to the 24th of August, and this is a musical that I believe started in Australia and has had like multiple successful runs there, and is now coming over to the UK, and it is about teenage girls who are obsessed with a boy band, which like has a special place in my heart. As someone who was a teenage girl who was very much obsessed with a boy band, I feel like it's just gonna hit like particular emotions that I sort of forgot existed. It happened when I read the Alice Oseman book, I Was Born for This, so like the storyline of that gets a little bit ridiculous at times, but there were particular moments when I'm like, oh, this is just describing teenage me, and I am both excited and worried that this musical could do the same. So this one is definitely on my radar. I'm not guaranteeing I'll go and see it, but it is definitely an option. And then at the end of July, we have got I believe a transfer of the Leicester production of A Chorus Line from the 31st of July to the 25th of August. I have wanted to see A Chorus Line for so long. Again, it sounds exactly like the sort of show I'm going to love. It is basically about people auditioning to be in a chorus line of a musical, and they sort of tell stories of their life and various things to do with them, like working in the theatre and stuff like that. And some of the songs from A Chorus Line I love so much, and I really wanted to see it when it was on, I believe, at the Palladium, like a few years back now, And again, it was one where the timing just didn't work out from like when I was in London and when I could afford to get tickets. And I have been so annoyed at myself for not seeing it for years that I'm very excited that this production is now going to be in London. I will be going to see it. I believe me and my mum are already making plans to go and see it because she is also annoyed that she missed out on that run a few years back. So I am very much looking forward to finally getting to see a chorus line on stage, and also I've heard good things about this production, so I do need to get booking tickets for this soon. Then we're going to skip past August because again, I don't have anything here. Obviously we're getting like towards the latter half of the year now, so things haven't necessarily been announced for that time yet, so keep an eye on this because I'll probably do a part 2 of this video later on in the year. But in September, I do have a couple of things. First one, actually, I don't have a specific date for. The tickets are going on sale in February, I believe, and we should get more information then. But it is Waiting for Godot that is going to be happening at the Theatre Royal Haymarket. This is, I believe it's described as like the play where sort of nothing happens. It's a play where they are literally sat waiting around for Godot. And again, it's one of those plays that I've sort of always had interest in. The versions of it that I've sort of heard of before is like the one where it was Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen, and they did actually a production at this same theatre. And however many years later, we now have this new production, and I am not doing great at telling you cast of things, but off the top of my head, I remember that Ben Whishaw is in this. And like I said, I'm trying to see more plays this year, so this feels like a good one to sort of tick off my list. So I don't know when it's opening, but it is opening at some point in September. I have signed up for the pre-sale list to find out more information when it happens, and hopefully that should be soon. Then we have a couple more tours. I know I said I was going to try and get some on there, and I know there's not many listed on here. To be honest, there are actually some tours that like already started last year that are still going, and I tried to focus on ones that are just starting this year. But there are a couple starting towards the end of the year that I am excited about. One, at least, I already have tickets for. The first one I don't have a ticket for, and that is the Dear Evan Hansen tour. That is starting in Nottingham on the 9th of September, and then we'll be traveling the country afterwards. And I'm particularly excited for this because it's actually a new staging, a new production of it. So Dear Evan Hansen closed on the West End not that long back, and I feel like although it's still a relatively new musical, it has kind of already dated a little bit. So I'm really excited to see what they do with this, whether it is just sort of staging changes or if they are going to make a few other little tweaks to it as well, because I feel like there are some issues that could just be handled maybe a little bit more sensitively. But we'll see how it goes. I'm just intrigued to see what they can do with this, because obviously I've only ever seen the West End production, which was a replica of the Broadway production, and I feel like although Dear Evan Hansen does definitely have its flaws, when I actually go and see it and when I listen to the music, I'm like, oh no, there is something about this story that just grabs me though. Even though it's not a perfect musical, it's just very much something that is able to sort of hit me in the feels like it's supposed to. And then the other tour we have is starting in Belfast on the 19th of September, and that is the Les Mis Arena Spectacular, I believe is how they're calling it. Basically, it is a new production of Les Mis that has been devised for larger venues. It is going to be a world tour, I believe. It's started in the UK. There are some European dates already announced, and then I believe it's planning on going, I think it said 15 countries in total, but a lot of them haven't been announced yet. And I will go and see any production of Les Mis. I need to see what they do with this. I need to see like what type of staging we're basing it off of. Like, is it going to be completely new? Is it going to take aspects from other ones? Would they like to bring a Revolve back? I would not be mad at them if they did, but I'm very excited to see this. I do have tickets booked, so I will probably do a full video on my thoughts of it then, because as someone who has seen Les Mis a fair amount of times, I feel like I can definitely talk about changes that they've made to the staging and how it works in that new bigger setting. So watch out for that later on in the year. And then moving on to October, we have got The Devil Wears Prada musical. Although I should say that this is actually starting in Plymouth in July. It's running from the 6th of July to the 17th of August in Plymouth. The reason I'm talking about in October is that is when the West End run is happening. I believe it's happening at the Dominion Theatre, but I've not actually written the theatre down for this, but if I am wrong, I will correct myself down below, but I'm pretty sure it's at Dominion Theatre, and the West End run is when I'm likely to see it. So Devil Wears Prada, based on the movie and also the book, and again, I feel like you all know the storyline. I don't necessarily need to explain it to you. If you're interested in it, you probably already know it, but this is an interesting one where actually it had an out-of-town tryout in America where it was planning to go to Broadway, and the out-of-town tryout was not necessarily the best received. So then they've decided to bring it over here instead. They've got a new creative team going on with it. They've got a new director. Elton John is apparently going to go back and sort of rework some of the songs. I'm not sure who the lyricist is actually. I probably should have looked that up, but they're going to rework what they already had with this new director as well. And it is doing sort of a out-of-town tryout here in Plymouth, and then it's going to be coming to the West End at the end of the year. And hopefully, with all of the sort of tweaking they've been able to do to it, they will have been able to get it to a point where it is something very enjoyable. So we'll see how that one goes when it opens in October. And then moving on to November, I don't have any new shows announced yet that I can talk about. I'm guessing there's probably going to be some announced. Again, I will do a catch-up video later on, but we do have a film coming out that I want to talk about because Wicked Part 1, the movie adaptation of the musical, is finally coming out. Apparently, I'll believe it when I actually see it because we've been waiting for this film for so long. Like, they announced that Wicked was going to be a film so many years ago, and then like it actually started filming and everything was going great, and then there was like all the strikes, so it stopped filming, although they've gone back to finish filming it like now. But like, we haven't had a trailer yet. It feels like until I see something tangible, like we've seen like the leaked clips that happened at like some sort of event thing, but we haven't seen an actual trailer, and until I see one, I'm not going to believe it's real. But I am very, very excited for it. So that is coming out on the 27th of November. And then the last thing I have to talk about, although there will definitely be other things starting in December, I'm definitely keeping an eye out to see what the Sheffield Christmas musical is this year, because in Sheffield, the Crucible always has a musical on over Christmas, and that has not been announced yet, and I'm guessing a lot of other places haven't announced their Christmas things yet. But one place that has is the Lowry in Salford. I've already mentioned this theatre in this video today, but they are going to be putting on a production of A Christmas Carol. And when I say a production of A Christmas Carol, there are various different versions of A Christmas Carol. It's also going to be on at the Old Vic again, because it's been on sort of for quite a few years in a row now. It just comes back every year. But this particular version is musical, that has music of Alan Menken. I watched the film version of this last year. I was going to say this year, but it was last year now. It's 2023. It's one of Meg's favourite musicals. I know she's definitely planning on seeing this, and I do like Alan Menken's music, so I may end up going to see this. It all very much depends on what time I can get off at Christmas and when I can get back up north. But if I can, I probably will go and see it. And like I said, this one is running from the 6th of December to the 4th of January. There we go. That was a fair amount of shows to talk about, and it's still a very incomplete list. I am sure I have missed something off here that I am excited about. Like I said, there are things that I know I'm not excited about, so I just haven't spoken about them. And there is going to be so much more announced for the rest of the year. But this is just sort of a whistle-stop tour of the shows that are on my radar, maybe some to put on your radar as well. I'm sorry that I didn't give like the best descriptions of them, but I had so many things to talk about. But if any of them sounded even vaguely interesting to you, then please go and look them up. And hopefully we can all have a great year going to see some theatre shows. So that is everything. Thank you guys for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff down below. Let me know what show you are most excited to see this year, and I will see you guys soon with a new video. Bye.